they did an experiment with a group of women, and they put scars on their faces, and they told these women that they're going into a job interview, and the purpose of the experiment is to find out whether people with facial disfigurements face discrimination. They showed them the scars in the mirror. The women saw themselves with these scars, and as they led them out of the room, they said, we're just going to touch it up a little bit. And as they touched it up, they removed the scarring completely. So the women went into the job interview thinking that they are scarred, but actually being their normal selves. And the result of the experiment is that those women then came back reporting massively increased level of discrimination. Indeed, many of them came back with comments that the interviewer had made that they felt were referencing their facial disfigurements. And this is why I think this ideology of victimhood is so dangerous, because if you preach to people constantly that we're all oppressed, then that primes people to look for that.
Okay, so I'm going to take this from two perspectives, one from the flawed female perspectives and the other from the flawed male perspective. Now, for the flawed female perspective, it's kind of sad that many women have been told and thought by the mainstream media and by society at large that they are a threat of having the best positions because of their gender. And when you have been indoctrinated, you see the world in a specific light, which may not be how the world really is. And it's unfortunate because women think that men get paid more because all men want to stick together and pay men more, which doesn't make any sense, because if women really looked at reality, they will realize that women would get more positions over men just because they're women. I mean, many women greatly underestimate just how much men want women to be on their team just because they're women. Because, shocker, men like women. Prior to the Me Too movement, men had no problem having women on their team at all. In fact, men would prefer that. Men would give women special treatment just to get women to be on their team. And many women took that for granted. Now, in the post-Me Too era, men are a little bit more cautious, true, but men still want women to be in their workforces just because they're women. Because again, men like to be around women. It's just a fact. What these women don't understand is that they're being marketed to, that they're being told what they want to hear. Because women want to be victims. Generally, many women want to be victims. And so when you tell them they're victims, they love that because that gives them leverage to complain. Unfortunately, the more you complain about specific groups, especially when these groups don't do anything to you at large, these groups tend not to want to work with you, or they don't want to be around you. So the more women complain, the more men get tired and like, you know what, screw you, go work with the other women, I don't want you around. That is just the reality. And I think women kind of believe that men are always going to be accepted, because if women did not believe that men are always going to be accepted, they probably will stop complaining and start listening to what men are actually saying and start looking at reality. It takes a level of privilege or entitlement to think that your problem is the world's problems, that everything that you think is happening to you is what the world should focus on. That is an unbelievable amount of privilege, and privilege tends to be invisible to those that have it. And it's kind of hilarious because women tend to be the ones that are more picky when it comes to men. But yet men are being accused of being picky when it comes to women, that men don't want women to do A, B, C, and D. When men, generally speaking, have low standards when it comes to women. It's just kind of funny that women tend to gaslight men based on the attributes that they possess. It's kind of hilarious because like when women say, I'm so scared of this man leaving me, that men always leave their women, which is ironic because women are the ones leaving their men 70% of the time. The women are so scared of men leaving them when they're the ones leaving their men, and they gaslight men based on what they're actually doing. And that's just the weird state of society. You blame men for discrimination, but you discriminate against men based on height, resources, and looks. You tell men not to body shame by calling you fat, but you body shame men by calling them short. You tell men to love you for who you are, but you claim that you only love men for their resources. The point here is not all of you women are societally conditioned hypocrites, but a lot of you are societally conditioned hypocrites, unfortunately. Now for the male perspective. The world is a big place. It's made up of multiple things, multiple people, multiple conditions, and multiple scenarios, right? There is a reason why I don't take the black pill. Because inherently, if you take the black pill, you'll become like some of these women this man was talking about in this video. The constant dwelling on the idea that you are oppressed as a group generates a sense of insecurity in the human mind, sometimes well-founded, but that insecurity could literally lead to a state of paranoia whereby you believe that everybody on the other team, in this case the other gender, is the enemy and is out to get you, and that could heavily damage your social interaction with that gender, especially when you're attracted to that gender, so to speak. Women are constantly being told by the mainstream and the society at large that men are out to get them. Yeah? Men are constantly told by the red pill space that women are out to get them. Now, even though right now at this moment, the red pill space is slightly more correct, their sense of reality has been greatly warped by the bubble they're living in. And so now, it's basically impossible for most of them to see any use or utility of a woman or a female in their life. This is because they only see women as predatory creatures whose sole desire is to extract resources from men without any real sacrifice on the female side. Now, even though this is more than likely the case in majority of cases, it's still unfortunate that people in the red pill space and the black pill community forget just how capable and willing many women are prepared to sacrifice for men that they truly like. And just like these women projected their insecurities on this interviewer based on their prior conditioning, the red pill community also tends to project their insecurities based on most women. A good example is when they claim that most women are incapable of liking you unconditionally, without realizing that that is not true, and that's only true based on the perspective of how you approach these women, or even if you approach these women. The red pill movement one-sided evaluation fails to take into consideration the fact that women only respect and care about men unconditionally that they sacrifice for prior. As I say, we are all biased and we all see the world through our own experiences. And yes, some of our experiences are more relevant than others. We all do it, even I do it, but hey, I guess that's just the way it is.